The ultimate hater. There is nothing about her existence that says, I'm black and I'm proud. So nothing.
She don't even try.
Look, I'm not even going to start this Mitchell report off playing this game. When it comes to the actual job itself, in my opinion, Malika Andrews is a damn superstar. The way she commands attention on that television is like none other in the NBA community. However, in some other communities, my community, the black community, Malika Andrews is definitely coming under fire for basically being accused of hating black men in their progression. I can go back to the big homie Corey Holcomb just recently being one of many that fired off on Malika Andrews for doing it too.
What do y'all think is the biggest coconut on ESPN? Who's the biggest coconut?
Graham Cracker.
It's between Stephen A. Smith and this girl named Malika Andrews.
I don't know who Malika is, but I definitely believe Stephen A. Smith. If somebody go harder than Stephen A. Smith, boy, they got to be some cold motherfuckers, man.
Well, listen to what I'm finna tell you, little bro. It's this broad on ESPN named Malika Andrews, and this bitch is a black man hater.
Yeah.
She don't like black people.
Now, to me, this is laughable, but it ain't funny. Because you can never tell a man how to disrespect he should feel if he feels he's been disrespected. So I'm not saying that people don't have an argument, but is it actually clear? Let's talk about it in this Mitchell report. So giving a little context, a little bit of background on Malika Andrews. She was born January 1995 in Oakland, California. She's currently the host of the NBA Today show on ESPN. She joined the network back in 2018, October of 2018, as an online NBA writer. She also debuted as its youngest sideline reporter at the time for a broadcast during the 2020 NBA bubble. Now, as far as her specific background, she is of African American and Jewish descent. She graduated from the University of Portland in 2017. Malika Andrews introduced herself at the NBA Summer League game back in 2017 to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, who had previously read her work that she did while she was working at the Beacon. Now, one of the early standout moments for Malika Andrews that kind of went viral was back in 2019 in the Eastern Conference Finals when the Bucks had lost to the Toronto Raptors. If y'all remember, Giannis Antetokounmpo had walked out of the press conference right in the middle of Malika Andrews' questions.
Curious, you guys have talked a lot about how at this point, sometimes it takes experience. I'm wondering if now that you have some of that experience, if you see more validity to that point or what you think about that now that you've gone through it.
Basically, Giannis was upset because an article had came out written by Malika right before this game, basically saying that he might leave Milwaukee if the Bucks didn't make their improvements to win the title before he became a free agent that year. Of course, they got eliminated, and he just wasn't really jacking that. So then, speeding things up, on July 6, 2021, Malika Andrews, she was announced as the ABC sideline reporter for the NBA Finals coverage. She took over for Rachel Nichols, who was removed after audio had leaked of Rachel Nichols kind of disparaging the network's promotion of analyst Maria Taylor as the primary host of the finals. In March 2022, Malika had then appeared in a short film entitled Playoffs on NBA Lane that was promoted by the 2022 playoffs alongside now retired sports podcaster Mark Albert. Now, in May 2022, Malika had won the Sports Emmy for Outstanding Personality, Emerging On-Air Talent, so that was a big deal. Then also on June 23rd, 2022, Malika Andrews made history being the first woman to host the NBA draft. So a lot of accolades and stuff like that, but none of that really matters to us as a people when we feel like you violating or you pushing narratives or agendas to tear us down. But who is to blame? Is it really Malika Andrews, or is it really that higher power ESPN, or is it a combination of both? Now, just recently, we had a real disgusting, poor performance of reporting in my eyes from Malika when it came to the NBA draft and the Brandon Miller situation.
Miller, his name did surface in court testimony involving a case where his former teammate and another man, they've been indicted for capital murder in the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Jamia Harris in January. The University of Alabama has described Miller as a cooperating witness.
You know, at the time it seemed so irrelevant to bring this up. But when you think about it, the relevancy of her bringing it up was spot on because it adds to the history of what's actually be going down at the ESPN network. Remember the situation that happened between her and her reporting on Coach Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics when he had first got hired?
Joe Mazzulla will be the interim head coach here. You can see his resume on your screen. He's been a Celtics assistant coach the last 3 seasons after spending the previous 3 seasons at Fairmount State. And he played for West Virginia between 2006 and 2011 and now could become the NBA's youngest head coach at 34 years old. And we'd be remiss not to also mention that Mazzulla was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar. The domestic battery case never went to trial. It was settled in August of 2009. He paid a $100 fine and court costs, plus had to do 40 hours of community service. Now, that was 13 years ago.
Or what about this situation? And she was reporting a death, a tragedy.
Former Michigan State star Adrian Payne was shot and killed in Orlando, Florida, early Monday morning, the Orange County Sheriff's Office said. And Payne was the 15th pick by the Atlanta Hawks in 2014. Played 4 seasons in the NBA with multiple teams. In 2018, he was waived by the Magic after he was named in a report by ESPN's Outside the Lines that he'd been involved in an alleged sexual assault at Michigan State in 2010. No charges were filed in that case.
Like there has always been some type of need to bring up criminal history in these stories when it comes to these black men, even if these guys were not convicted or anything, just bringing it up. But I don't feel like Malika is freestyling none of that information. Of course, she's reading from a teleprompter, but she's not creating all this info by herself. This is definitely something, in my opinion, that I feel is being pushed by the ESPN network. Going back and forth with your co-host on the show, that really isn't a big deal to me, like even if it gets intense. But, you know, time and time again, we've seen ESPN have this sort of war when it comes to their journalists and their analysts and former players. It feel like these analysts have to always stick their chest out like, you know, you're stepping into my world. They've been doing that for years, and I feel like that plays a huge role in the dialogue that we see from Malika Andrews and the likes of Kendrick Perkins, Richard Jefferson, you know, guys who are NBA champions, guys who actually played this game.
But you're making an assumption.
Yes, you can.
You can't look at a person and know what their intent was. It was a dangerous play regardless, but you can't. Okay. I didn't realize we had a bunch of mind readers on the panel. Kirk, please continue.
Kirk, how old were you when you dunked the ball for the first time?
21.
12.
12. How old were you when you dunked the ball for the first time?
12.
I was about 13 years old when I dunked the ball for the first time. I know what a fast break looks like. I have 4 months out in a season because I had my wrist taken out on a dunk. I know not necessarily the intent to hurt, but I know the intent to foul extremely hard.
And we surely can't forget that viral interaction that she had with Stephen A. Smith on First Take when it came to the Ime Udoka scandal.
But the fact that it was able to go on all day, the fact that we are sitting here debating whether somebody else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women. That is not why we are here.
First of all, let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening. Okay, that's.
Matter of fact, it's like the topic of Ime Udoka, man. That really had her going off quite a few times with her other peers on live on air.
It was consensual, meaning that this woman actually played a part in it too. So my thing is, yes, Ime Udoka was wrong. We get that. His punishment, he deserved that, and whatever else follows, I hate it for him, but he put himself in this position. But why are the other people getting left off the hook?
Well,
That's the
Kendrick,
problem that I have right now. Everybody got to be held accountable.
I think that we need to circle back to what Shanae said, is that there was an investigation that was conducted by an independent law firm here. And I think that transparency is what will rule the day here. And so without having all of the information, it is unfair and irresponsible of us to go and to speculate on that, because what we have to...
Well, I'm not speculating.
Sure.
I have the information. I'm not speculating.
But what we have to go with here is the fact that an independent law firm came in, did this investigation, and the facts that they were presented, they came to the conclusion that Ime Udoka violated a policy that warranted a 1-year suspension. And I share your frustration with the lack of transparency, while understanding that there is some things that they need to, from a legal perspective, keep private. But knowing all of that, understanding all of that, we have to come to a conclusion that whatever rule, the conduct that was broken on one side, it is not the same on the other side.
Now it's time for y'all to sign off on this Mitchell report of Malika Andrews. Because my question to you all at the end of the day, what would you have done? Simple and plain. If each and every one of you guys that are watching this video right now were put in the same position of success that Malika has been put in by ESPN, and they advised you to push those storylines and those narratives, would you do it? Would you quit? Like, let's keep it real. What would you do? There's really no wrong answer, in my opinion. To each his own. We all have our unique circumstances. But, you know, this girl is living a dream, and like, I feel like she's one of the most dominating presence in the NBA community for, you know, the female perspectives, and she's great at her job. All the talk about her hating black guys, I'm not gonna say we wrong because or people are wrong. You gotta feel how you feel, but you know, I do feel sometimes like this bashing that's happening with her is adding to the what we kind of complaining to her about, you know, this whole black on black situation. So I think it's more of a bigger picture than Malika Andrews, but everybody has to be held accountable and responsible for their actions and things that they say. But this is the Mitchell Report. Y'all let me know what y'all think about Malika Andrews. I even heard stories about Jalen Rose partially was fired due to some situation. She said, you remember the little moment they had when she told Jalen to remove his hand from under her armpit or something like that. People are trying to make rumors that was the reason why Jalen had got fired. But, you know, this is Seven Mitchell with the Mitchell Report, and you guys just let me know what y'all think. Be sure to smash that like button, and if you enjoy the Mitchell Report series, leave a little quick tip or donation at the Super Thanks. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.